The battlefield was silent after the storm of war. Smoke rose from the broken ground, bodies of soldiers, both human and alien, lay cold in the dust. The war had ended, at least for this night. And in the middle of the ruins stood one man, a survivor. His name was Daniel. He was a soldier from Earth, sent to fight beside alien allies against a brutal enemy. He had seen fire, death, and fear. But somehow he lived when others had fallen. And now, as the sky turned dark, the alien leaders gathered to reward him. Daniel did not ask for a reward. He only wanted to rest, but they brought something to him anyway. From the shadows, 2 guards dragged a figure. A woman with chains on her wrists and ankles. Her skin was not like human skin. It shimmered in pale silver light. Her eyes glowed with anger and pride, not fear. She was tall, strong, and alien, yet beautiful in a strange, dangerous way. The guards pushed her to Daniel's feet. "This is your prize," said the alien commander in a rough voice. "You fought bravely, and you shall keep her. She is yours now, a slave taken in battle." Daniel's heart turned cold. He looked down at the chained woman. She was breathing hard, her hair wild, her face fierce. She looked at him not as a victim, but as an enemy. Her eyes burned like fire. And Daniel thought, this is no gift. This is a curse. The crowd around him cheered. Other soldiers slapped him on the back, laughing. They thought it was a great honor, but Daniel did not smile. He did not see her as a reward. He saw a living being, proud and unbroken, trapped in iron. The alien woman stood slowly. Her chains rattled, but her back was straight. She did not kneel, she did not bow. She raised her chin and glared at Daniel as if daring him. Her silence was louder than any words. Daniel felt uneasy. He was trained to fight enemies, not to own them. He could feel the weight of everyone's eyes on him. The commanders waited for him to accept the gift. The soldiers wanted him to celebrate. But he could not move. Finally, the woman spoke, her voice sharp like steel. "I am no slave," she said. Her words shocked the crowd. She spoke their language, clear and strong. Gasps spread among the aliens. The guards yanked her chains, but she did not fall. She kept her eyes locked on Daniel, and he felt something he could not explain. A strange pull, not fear, not hate, but something deeper. The commander growled, "She belongs to you now, soldier of Earth. Do with her as you please. She is broken. She is defeated. She is nothing." But Daniel saw the truth. She was not broken. She was not defeated. She stood like a warrior in chains. Proud, even in the dirt, he took a step forward. The woman did not move. Her eyes narrowed, as if she was ready to strike if she could. Her chains glowed faintly under the alien light, heavy and cruel. Daniel's chest tightened. He thought, how can this be right? The crowd began to shout, "Take her! Take her!" They wanted a show. They wanted to see the human accept the gift. But Daniel stayed silent. He bent down slowly, his hands reaching for the chains. The guards thought he was about to pull her like an animal. The crowd cheered louder, but instead, Daniel lifted the chains gently. His eyes met hers, and in a quiet voice only she could hear, he said, "I don't want a slave." Her eyes widened for a moment. She was not expecting those words. No one had ever spoken to her like that since her capture. For the first time, the fire in her eyes changed. It softened just a little, but then she hardened again. Hiding her thoughts, she spat at his feet. "Then kill me, human," she hissed. Daniel stood frozen, the crowd still cheering, blind to the words exchanged, but inside his mind, a storm had begun. He could not kill her. He could not own her. And he knew one thing with certainty. This moment was only the beginning. The night grew darker. The stars shone above the battlefield. The chains between them glimmered in the light. a soldier and a prisoner, a man and an alien woman. Their story had started, and nothing would ever be the same again. The next morning, the camp was filled with celebration. Fires burned, voices sang, and warriors raised their cups high. The battle was over, and victory belonged to them. But Daniel did not feel like a hero. He sat alone at the edge of the camp, his eyes heavy, his thoughts restless. The alien woman was kept nearby, her chains tied to a metal post, her hands bound tight. She did not speak. She did not beg. She only watched. Her silver eyes glowed in the dim light, sharp like knives. Every time Daniel looked at her, he felt a strange pull, not attraction, not pity, something deeper, something he could not name. Other soldiers laughed at him. "You are lucky, human," one shouted, "on our worlds. Such a prize is rare," another said. They slapped his back, smiling with wide teeth, but Daniel did not smile. He only nodded and turned away. To him, she was no prize. She was a storm waiting to break. At night, Daniel brought her food. He set the plate down, careful not to touch. "Her, eat," he said quietly. The woman did not move. Her eyes burned into his, cold and strong. "I am no pet," she said. Her voice was calm, but her words carried fire. Daniel sighed. "I don't see you as a pet," he answered. "Then, what am I to you, human?" she asked. Her chains rattled as she leaned forward. "A slave, a trophy, or just a toy to amuse yourself with?" Her words struck him harder than a blade. He shook his head. "I didn't ask for you. I don't want you." Her lips curled into a bitter smile. "Then kill me and be free of me." But Daniel could not. Something inside him refused. Killing her would be easy, but living with that choice would not. So he stayed silent. The next day, the commanders ordered him to present his slave to the soldiers. They wanted to see her kneel before him. They wanted her pride broken in front of all. The guards dragged her forward, pushing her onto the ground. "Make her bow," the commander ordered. The crowd cheered. Waiting, Daniel looked at her. She weighs. Her chains heavy, but her back was straight. Her eyes rose to meet his, full of challenge. She refused to bow, even with guards pressing her down, even with the crowd screaming. She stood taller than all of them in spirit. The commander growled, "Strike her, human. Show your power." Daniel froze. He looked at the crowd, then back at her. Every part of him screamed, no. He could not raise his hand against her. Not like this. Not when she had already lost everything. So he made his choice. He stepped forward and pulled her up by the chains. But instead of striking, he spoke, "Enough." His voice cut through the noise. "She is mine, and I will decide what happens to her. No one else." The crowd went silent, shocked. The commander narrowed his eyes, but he did not argue. A soldier's prize belonged to him, and if this human wanted to treat her differently, so be it. The guards released her, muttering, and Daniel pulled her away, back to the shadows of the camp. When they were alone, the woman laughed. It was not a laugh of joy, but of bitter amusement. "You confuse me, human," she said. "You had the chance to break me, yet you refused. You had the chance to kill me, yet you refused. Why?" Daniel did not answer right away. He looked at her chains, heavy and cruel. He looked at her eyes, fierce and unbroken, and he said softly, "Because I see more in you than they do." Her smile faded. Her eyes studied him, searching. But she said nothing. Only silence stood between them. Silence heavy with questions. Silence heavy with secrets. That night, Daniel could not sleep. The camp snored with drunken voices. But he sat awake, his mind racing. He thought about Earth. He thought about freedom. And he thought about the woman chained beside him. She was not like the others. She was not broken. She was something else. Something dangerous, something important. When the moonlight touched her face, Daniel noticed it. She was not just an alien woman, she carried herself like a leader. Her every word, her every stare, spoke of power, not weakness, and Daniel knew a truth that no one else could see. This woman was no slave. She was a warrior. Maybe more than that, maybe royalty, and if that was true, then his reward was not a gift. It was a storm waiting to destroy him. The days passed, but peace never came. The camp was noisy with music, weapons, and rough laughter. Yet for Daniel, every moment felt heavy. The alien woman was always near, always watching, always silent. Her chains rattled with every move, but her spirit was still unbroken. One morning, Daniel placed food before her again. The same dry bread, the same bitter drink. He thought she might ignore it, as always, but this time she spoke. "You feed me as if I am some animal in a cage." Her words were sharp, like knives. Daniel looked at her calmly. "I give you food so you don't starve." He replied, her silver eyes glared. "Then free me and see if I starve." Her voice carried anger, but also pride. Daniel shook his head. "If I free you here, they will kill you. You know this." She leaned forward, chains clinking. "Better to die free than live chained," she whispered. The words stayed with him. That night, he could not sleep. Her voice echoed in his mind like fire. Better to die free than live chained. Daniel had fought for freedom before. He knew what it meant. But hearing it from her made him question everything. The next day, the conflict grew stronger. The soldiers teased him. "Your slave does not obey you. Human, she does not even kneel. Maybe she is too strong for you." Their laughter burned in his ears. He ignored them, but the woman heard every word. Her lips curved in a smile of mockery. "I told you," she said softly. "I will never bow." Later, when Daniel tried to give her water, she struck the cup away. It shattered on the ground, spilling into the dirt. He grabbed her wrist, anger flashing in his eyes. For a moment, the camp grew silent. Their faces were close, their eyes locked. She hissed, "Do it, human, hit me. Prove them right." But Daniel did not. He released her wrist slowly. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, instead of anger. His face showed something else, confusion. The woman tilted her head. "Curious now, you are strange," she whispered. Strange for a soldier that evening. The commander came to Daniel. "The slave grows wild." He warned, "She must be broken, or she will become dangerous." Daniel stood firm. "She is no danger to me." But the commander's eyes narrowed. "You think she is different. But she is not. Remember this. Prideful slaves can kill their masters in the dark." Those words hung in Daniel's mind like poison. When night came, he tied her chains tighter, but still, he did not sleep. He kept his blade near, his eyes half open. She noticed, of course. Her laugh was soft, bitter. "Do you fear me now, human?" she asked. He did not answer. She leaned closer, her voice low. "You should." The next morning, a test of fire arrived. Raiders attacked the camp, not the enemy army, but desperate scavengers. Screams filled the air as tents burned. Warriors rushed to fight, weapons clashed. Daniel ran forward, sword in hand. But then he saw it. The woman's chains were loose. The raiders had broken the post she was tied to. She could escape, she could kill him, and yet she did not run. Instead, she picked up a broken spear, her chains dragging as she fought beside the soldiers. Her movements were sharp, powerful, filled with fury. She cut down raiders like a storm. Even chained, she was deadly. Daniel fought near her. At one point, a raider aimed a blade at his back. The woman struck first, saving his life. Their eyes met in the chaos. For a moment, time stopped, and Daniel saw the truth. She did not fight for him. She fought for herself, for her pride, but still. She had chosen not to let him die. When? The raiders were defeated. Silence returned. The camp was ruined. Bodies on the ground, smoke in the air. Daniel turned to her. "You saved me," he said. She looked at him coldly. "Do not mistake my choice." She replied, "I did not save you, human. I saved myself. Because my death will not be given so cheaply." Daniel studied her face. There was no fear, no weakness, only strength, only a fire that chains could not kill. And in that fire, he felt something stir within himself. Something dangerous, something new. The commander arrived, his face full of rage. "You freed her." He barked. "No." Daniel answered. "She fought while chained." The commander glared at the woman. "You will regret this." He growled, but she only smiled. Her smile was not soft, not kind. It was sharp, like a blade hidden in the dark. That night, Daniel sat across from her, her chains tied once more. But his eyes could not leave hers. "You could have run," he said. "You could have left me to die." Her answer came swift. "I told you before, human, I will never bow. Not to you, not to them. Not to anyone. My life is mine, even if I am chained." Daniel felt the weight of those words. He realized that every chain on her body was also a chain on his heart. The more he tried to control the situation, the less control he had. The conflict between them was no longer about chains. It was about will. And he knew one thing with certainty. The fire between them was only beginning to burn. The camp was quiet after the raider attack. Fires had been put out. Weapons collected, wounds treated. But Daniel could not find peace. He kept thinking about the woman. Even in chains, she had fought like a warrior. Even in chains, she had saved his life. That night, when the camp slept, he sat near her. She sat against a broken wall, her arms bound, her ankles heavy with iron. Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight. For the first time, she looked less like a prisoner, and more like something else, a leader in waiting. Daniel spoke softly. "You are not like the others." She lifted her head slowly, her voice calm but sharp. "Of course I am not. Do you think I am some servant, born to chains? No, human. I am more than what you see." Daniel leaned closer, his voice low. "Then tell me, who are you really?" Her lips curved in a cold smile. "You do not want the truth, because the truth will burn you. The truth will bring war to your people." Daniel did not move. He met her eyes, steady and serious. "I want to hear it," he said. The woman was silent for a long time. Her eyes studied him as if weighing his soul. Finally, she spoke, her words slow and heavy. "My name is Saria." Her voice carried power when she said it. "Not slave, not prisoner, Saria." Daniel repeated the name under his breath. It felt strange, almost forbidden. "Saria?" She nodded, her chains clinking softly. "You should know this, Daniel. I am not some common captive. I was commander of my people's fleet. I led warriors into battle long before you even touched a sword." Daniel's chest tightened. He looked at her again, really looked. Her strength, her fire, her pride, it all made sense now. She was not just a prisoner. She was a leader, taken and humiliated. Saria's voice grew darker. "They call me a slave to break me. They chain me to erase my name, but I will never forget who I am." Her eyes locked on his. "And now you know the truth. You hold a commander of the stars in your hands. What will you do, human?" Daniel's thoughts raced. He realized how dangerous this secret was. If the soldiers knew her real identity, they would kill her immediately. No army would let a powerful commander live in chains, but Daniel could not bring himself to reveal her. He whispered back, "I will keep your secret." Saria studied him again. "You risk much for me? Why?" Daniel did not answer at once. He searched for words, but none felt right. Finally, he said, "Because I don't see you as my enemy anymore." Her expression shifted. Just for a second, the fire in her eyes softened, but then she looked away. Hiding her thoughts, "You are a fool. Human," she said quietly. "A kind fool, but still a fool." The next day, the commander came again. He looked at Syria with suspicion. "This one resists too much. Her spirit is dangerous," he warned. Daniel stood in front of her. "She is mine, and I will handle her," he replied firmly. The commander gave him a long stare, then walked away. But Daniel could feel it, the watchful eyes, the growing doubt. Later, when they were alone, Syria whispered, "You protect me as if I am helpless. But I do not need your protection. I need only freedom. Release me, Daniel. Release me, and I will show you who I truly am." Daniel's hand touched the chains. His heart wanted to unlock them. But his mind screamed danger. If he freed her now, she might vanish into the night. She might kill him, or worse, bring destruction on his people. So he stepped back, shaking his head. "Not yet," he said. Her eyes narrowed. "Then you are." "No different from them," she spat. Her words cut deep. Daniel turned away, but inside, he was torn. He did not want to be her jailer. Yet he could not risk the chaos her freedom would bring. That night, he dreamed of fire. He dreamed of Syria, leading armies of silver-eyed warriors across the stars. Her voice thundered in his head. "You had a choice, Daniel, and you chose." Chains. When he woke, his hands were trembling. He looked at her sleeping form, her chains heavy, her face calm, and he wondered, had he made a mistake? Was he holding a friend or a future enemy? As dawn broke, Syria opened her eyes and looked straight at him. Her voice was soft, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. "Remember this, human. I am not yours to own. I am Syria, daughter of war, and one day the stars will call me back." Her words echoed in Daniel's mind. They filled him with fear, but also with awe. He realized that the truth was far greater than he expected. This was no simple story of master and slave. This was the beginning of something much bigger, something that could change the fate of both their worlds. The days after Syria's secret weighed heavy on Daniel. He could no longer see her as a slave. Every time he looked at her, he saw the truth. A commander, a leader, a warrior trapped in chains, and the weight of that truth pressed on his chest. Like iron, the soldiers still laughed, still mocked. To them, Syria was just a prize. A broken woman chained to a human's tent. But Daniel knew better. He could feel the storm building. And he feared what would happen when it finally broke. One night, the storm arrived. Not from Syria, but from the skies above, the enemy struck back. Not raiders this time, but a full force of soldiers. Their ships roared through the clouds. Fire raining down on the camp, explosions shook the ground. Tents burned, warriors screamed. The victory they had celebrated was now ashes. Daniel grabbed his weapon and ran. The air was thick with smoke, the sound of battle everywhere. And then he saw her. Syria, still chained, still bound. She stood tall even as fire lit the night around her. Her eyes glowed with fury. Her voice thundered over the chaos. "Free me, Daniel. If you want to live, free me." Daniel froze. He looked at her chains, heavy and cruel. He looked at the battle, the soldiers falling one by one. He knew she was dangerous. If he freed her, he might be unleashing something he could not control. But if he left her chained, both of them might die. The decision tore at him. He hesitated for one breath, 2 breaths. Then he made his choice. Daniel drew his blade and struck the locks. The chains clattered to the ground. Syria stepped forward. Her body free for the first time since her capture, She picked up a fallen spear. Her movements were swift, graceful, deadly. Daniel had seen skilled fighters before, but nothing like this. Syria was a storm of silver and fire. Every strike was precise, every motion filled with power. Even the enemy soldiers faltered when they saw her. Daniel fought beside her, and, for the first time, they were not enemies, not captor and captive. They were partners in battle. When a soldier rushed at Daniel, Syria cut him down. When a blade aimed for Syria's back, Daniel blocked it. Their movements blended like two parts of the same fire. The enemy began to retreat, but not before their leader appeared. A towering alien with armor black as night. He shouted across the field, his voice shaking the ground. "Syria, commander of the Silver Legion. So they did not kill you after all." The soldiers around Daniel gasped. They turned their eyes to Syria. Her secret was out. She was not a slave, not a trophy. She was the warrior commander of their greatest enemy. Syria's face did not falter. She stood tall, spear in hand, her silver eyes glowing. "You should have finished me when you had the chance." She shouted back. The black-armored leader growled. "This ends tonight." He charged at her, his blade raised. The ground shook as he swung. Syria met his strike, sparks flying. The clash was fierce, loud, terrifying. Daniel stood frozen for a heartbeat, then he rushed forward to join her. Together, they fought the leader. Syria's spear struck fast. Daniel's blade blocked heavy blows. The enemy was strong, but not strong enough. With one final strike, Syria drove her spear through his chest. The leader roared, then fell silent. The battlefield grew still, the enemy retreating in fear. The soldiers stared at Syria, their eyes wide with shock. Whispers spread quickly. She is no slave. She is a commander, an enemy commander. What has the human done? Daniel felt the weight of their stares. He knew what they saw: betrayal, danger, treason. But when he looked at Syria, he did not see an enemy. He saw the woman who had fought beside him, the woman who had saved him, the woman who had chosen not to run when she was free. The commander of the camp stormed forward, his face red with rage. "You freed her," he shouted. "You fought with her. Do you realize what you've done, human?" Daniel stood firm. "She saved us all tonight," he said, but his words did not calm the storm. Guards raised their weapons, circling Syria. She did not flinch. She lifted her chin, her eyes blazing with defiance. "If you want me dead, then try," she said. Her voice rang across the camp like thunder. Daniel stepped in front of her, sword drawn. "If you touch her, you go through me," he warned. Gasps spread through the crowd. The soldiers looked from Daniel to Syria, uncertain. The air was thick with fear, with tension, with the weight of choices. That night changed everything. Syria was no longer a chained woman in the shadows. She was revealed for who she truly was, and Daniel was no longer just a soldier. He had made his choice. He had freed her, fought beside her, and stood against his own allies to protect her. The line between enemy and friend had shattered, and in the silence that followed, both of them knew. The path ahead would not lead to peace. It would lead to something far greater, something dangerous, something that could change the fate of two worlds. The camp was different after that night. The soldiers no longer laughed when they saw Syria. They no longer mocked Daniel. They only watched in silence, their eyes full of fear and suspicion. Word had spread quickly. The slave was not a slave at all. She was Syria, commander of the Silver Legion. A name spoken with respect, with anger, with dread, to the soldiers. Daniel was now the fool who freed her, the man who stood in front of his own allies to protect an enemy. Daniel felt the weight of their stares every day. He knew they no longer trusted him. But he did not care, because when he looked at Syria, he saw more than an enemy. He saw a woman who fought with honor. A woman who carried herself with strength even in chains. A woman who could never be broken. Saria, too, had changed. She no longer mocked him with every word. She no longer spat at his feet. Instead, she sat with him by the fires. She asked questions about Earth, about his people, about his wars, and sometimes, when the camp was quiet, she even listened. Her silver eyes calm. One night, Daniel told her about his family. He spoke of his brother who had died in a war on Earth. He spoke of the promise he made never to let cruelty rule his heart. Saria was silent for a long time. Then she said softly, "You are different from the others, Daniel. Different from your kind." Daniel looked at her. "And you are different from what they told me," he replied. "They said your people were cruel, merciless, without honor. But I see honor in you, Saria, more than in any of them." Her lips curved in the smallest of smiles, not mocking. This time, not bitter, but real. "You speak like a dreamer," she whispered. "And dreamers die quickly in war." The next day, Daniel and Saria were sent on patrol. The commander did not trust them. So he sent guards to watch their every step, but danger came faster than expected. An ambush in the woods. Enemy scouts with sharp blades and quicker reflexes. Daniel fought hard, but he was outnumbered. The guards panicked, some running, some falling. Saria grabbed a fallen weapon and moved like lightning. Her chains clinked with every step, but nothing could slow her down. Together, they fought side by side once more. Daniel blocked strikes meant for her. She cut down enemies aiming. For him, their rhythm grew stronger with each clash, until at last the woods grew quiet. The enemies lay broken, the air filled with smoke. Daniel dropped to one knee, his chest heaving. "You saved me again," he said. Saria stood over him, her spear dripping with blood, her eyes softening just for a moment. "You saved me first," she replied. "Perhaps that makes us even." They walked back in silence, the guards trailing behind, whispering. But between Daniel and Saria, something had changed, a thread invisible, binding them, not chains of iron, but chains of trust. That night, Saria spoke again, her voice low, almost unsure. "You know what my people will do if they find me." Daniel looked at her. "They will try to take you back," he said. She shook her head. "No, Daniel, they will not take me. They will kill you because you freed me. Because you stand with me, you will be their enemy as much as mine." Daniel's chest tightened. He knew her words were true, and yet he did not step back. He met her eyes, steady and clear. "Then let them come," he said. "I would rather fight beside you than against you." For the first time, Saria's face softened. Fully, her guard lowered. She looked at him not as a human, not as an enemy, but as something else. "You are a strange man, Daniel," she whispered. "Perhaps too strange for your own world." Over the next days, they spent more time together. She showed him old symbols carved into her armor, marks of her people, her victories, her family. And he told her stories of Earth, stories of blue skies, green fields, oceans that stretched forever. Sometimes she laughed, not the bitter laugh of before, but a laugh warm and alive. And Daniel found himself smiling with her, something he had not done in a long time. The soldiers noticed. Their whispers grew louder, sharper, has the human fallen in love with her? He is a traitor, blinded by the enemy. But Daniel ignored them, because deep in his heart, he knew they were right. Something inside him was changing. Something dangerous. Something undeniable. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Daniel and Saria sat together in silence. The sky burned with colors of red and gold. For a long time, no words were needed. Until finally, Saria spoke. "You freed me once, Daniel, but soon you will have to free me again, not just from chains, but from this war. If you cannot, Then everything we share will be destroyed." Her words hung heavy in the air. Daniel did not answer, but in his heart, he already knew he could not go back. He could not see her as a slave or an enemy. She was his partner now, and maybe, just maybe, something more. The days that followed were filled with whispers. The camp no longer treated Daniel as a hero. He was watched, judged, distrusted. And Saria, once mocked as a chained prize, was now feared. Every soldier knew her name. Every soldier knew her past, and none of them wanted her walking free among them. The commander's anger burned like fire. He called Daniel before the council. "You freed her in battle. You stood beside her against us. This is treason. Human, you must return her to chains, or you will share her punishment." The words echoed. Across the tent, the soldiers nodded, their eyes full of hate, but Daniel did not look at them. He looked at Saria, standing tall, proud even in danger. Her eyes met his, calm and fearless. And in that moment, Daniel knew what choice he would make. He stepped forward, his voice steady. "No," he said. Gasps filled the air. The commander slammed his fist on the table. "No, she is our enemy. You cannot keep her." Daniel's hand went to his sword. "I will not chain her. I will not treat her as a prize. She is not my slave. She is my partner, and more than that, she is my wife." The tent exploded with noise, voices shouting, weapons clashing. Wife. He has lost his mind. Traitor. He sides with the enemy. But Daniel did not move. He stood strong, his eyes only on Saria. She looked at him in silence, her face unreadable. Then slowly, her lips curved into a small smile, her voice clear and strong. "I accept," she said. "I will stand with this human, not as his slave, not as his prisoner, but as his equal, his wife." The soldiers shouted louder, but their words could not break the moment. Something greater had been spoken, something that could not be erased. The commander raised his weapon. "Then both of you will die for this madness." Daniel drew his sword. Saria lifted her spear. Side by side, they stood. Back to back, human and alien. Two enemies who had chosen each other. The standoff lasted only seconds, but it felt like forever. Until a horn sounded from the hills. Another enemy attack, ships breaking through the clouds, fire raining once again. The camp exploded into chaos. Soldiers ran to defend the walls. The commander cursed and rushed out. The fight between Daniel and his allies was delayed, but the choice had already been made. Daniel and Saria were no longer prisoner and guard, no longer enemies forced together. They were partners, bound by their decision as the battle raged. Daniel and Saria fought side by side once more. Their movements sharper than ever. Every strike, every step, every glance showed their bond. To the soldiers around them, it was shocking. A human and an alien fighting as one, not against each other, but against the storm. When the smoke cleared and the enemy fled, the camp lay broken, bodies scattered, fires still burning. But Daniel and Saria still stood, alive, unbroken, together. The commander returned, his face pale. He looked at the two of them, side by side, and for the first time, his anger faltered. He saw not a traitor and his slave, but something he could not explain. A bond stronger than chains, stronger than fear. "Leave," he spat, finally. "Both of you, you are no longer part of this army. Go, and do not return." Daniel nodded. He did not argue. He turned to Saria. She stood tall, her silver eyes glowing in the firelight, and together, they walked away from the camp. They walked into the night, away from the army, away from the chains. The stars shone above them, endless and wide. Saria looked up at them, her face calm. "The stars will not accept this easily," she whispered. "My people will hunt us." Your people will curse us. We will have no safe place. Daniel looked at her. Then we will make our own place, he said. Not human. Not alien ours. For the first time, Saria's eyes softened fully. She reached for his hand. And though she had once been chained by iron, now she chose to bind herself willingly. Not as a slave, not as a prisoner, but as his partner, his equal, his wife. The night wind carried their steps forward, and though the road ahead was uncertain, though danger waited in the shadows of every star, their choice was unshakable, a man and a woman from different worlds. Bound not by chains, but by love, and somewhere far away, in the dark of space, the whispers had already begun. The tale of a human soldier and an alien commander, two enemies, who defied war itself and chose each other instead. A story that would shake empires, a story that was only just beginning.